Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner, and I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit. Well, I mean, there's going to be some physical stuff in there, but really, I'm going to be wearing my quantum energy healer hat for this one today. So, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and there's a lot of, things, and people have their opinions and this and that. And this is always true. But it can be a difficult time, when, all the different things that have been going on between, social media apps and inaugurations. And yeah, it's just, there's all kinds of things going on. So there's a lot of like really, really raw, crazy, like emotional stuff going on. And the vibration is really, really strange. I mean, just being on social media over the weekend and stuff. I mean, just the anger, and I mean, it's really getting out of hand. And I mean, it's something that I mean, over the years I've participated in. I'm sure you have too. We all, we're all having this human experience, but we all have our opinions on what's right and wrong and all of this stuff. And but here's the thing: nothing is really just black and white, wrong and right. Like this, there's really nothing that fits into one category or the other all the time, because it's always going to be a matter of perception. You're always going to, you're always going to be able to look at something subjectively. And whenever you have an opinion about something, I mean, that's being subjective. It's kind of difficult sometimes to take a step back and look at things from an objective perspective instead, and just collect facts and just go, okay, I'm just going to be aware of these things that I've just learned, and then not really have like the need to shout out your knowledge, because like, you don't need to identify by the knowledge. And this can be a really difficult feat, because it's in our like human nature to want to express ourselves and make people agree with us and stuff like that. And I've been like super guilty of that in years past with, like, oh, I don't understand why people don't agree with me. And so, but we're all having this shared human experience, yet our human experiences are all very, very different. And when we allow emotional overwhelm to take over all of our decisions, to take over all of our opinions, not only does it make people kind of like not want to hang out with us because we're like too intense, but it's really detrimental on your health. I have talked before about how, we get calcium deposits in places like if you've got like a nasty knot in your back that just won't go away, and it's tied to, trauma, like emotional stress, and when we are constantly putting ourselves in this fight or flight state, because we've made up a scenario in our head, or we're angry about something that we literally have not a lick of control over, it puts us up in this fight or flight state where our body thinks that we're like being chased by something that's trying to kill us. Like our body is like, oh my gosh, all the fire alarms are going off. And then it's leaching calcium out of our bones and then depositing it in other places, so then, we're like, oh my gosh, well, you're getting into perimenopause and menopause, and congratulations, there's no calcium in your bones. Your bone density is shit-tastic. And here you go. You need to take this, medication. And, and then you've got calcium deposits in all these other places. And so much of this can really be avoided or it's like lessened if we are going after this common desire that we really all have to obtain peace and understanding. So, when we're really forming these huge opinions on stuff and everything, and I don't care where your stance is on this, that, or the other thing. I have my opinions on stuff too. It's fine. But, we really do want to be understood. We want people to understand what we're saying and why. But it's really not anybody else's responsibility to understand you or to understand me. And one person might have, like a great, they go, oh, Jess is fantastic. She did this, that, and the other thing. And somebody else might have a completely different opinion of me for whatever. And that was their perspective. And it's really none of my business. So, we're all on this wellness journey. Okay. This whole idea of observing without judging, like there was recently a trend going around on the socials, we listen and we don't judge. And that's actually a pretty good thing there, to listen, just observe, be aware of what someone else is doing, saying, or thinking, and not sit there and have to like pass obvious judgment all over them. And I want to say something that a lot people don't people don't fully understand it when I say this, but all judgment is coming from jealousy. It comes from a place of jealousy. And that is because that is where it's coming from inside of your energy centers. That's where it's coming from. So whenever we're judging about something, because we're not looking at it from an objective perspective, we're like, oh no, well, this is how my brain interprets this. It's coming from some place of jealousy in one way or another. It can be a hard pill to swallow. Definitely is for me. There are some times where I'm just like, okay, what the hell could I be jealous about here? But nevertheless, I'm just going to sit back and stop caring so much about this because it's not really going to help, staying neutral and just observing things for what they are and being aware of what's going on without having to like have a huge opinion on it and everything and make it, really affect every aspect of your life or just affecting your nervous system and like, what kind of anxiety you're feeling in the moment. That's really protective of your energy to be able to sit back and do that, to just observe without absorbing everything that's going on, to sit there and just be like, okay, well, I see that this is happening and I can see why these people feel this way and why these people feel this way. And here are some of the objective facts that I found. And all right, okay, I've got it. That I have observed that, and just protecting your energy from like getting too far into it. And this, I mean, it's very easy to get all wrapped up in it, but when we are stuck, being super angry about something, I mean, like my grandfather, even my dad will do it now. My grandfather, when he was still living, I mean, he was the guy that would get like upset at the news. He would be yelling and screaming at the TV and this and that. And I see this happening with like sports too. You'll see people like getting really, really mad and like wanting to throw things at the TV because they don't like what, the referee said. And, like, I get it. You saw it from a different perspective. You don't like what they had to say. Sometimes they're big fat wrong. I can definitely say that that's probably true a lot of the time. And I've seen that. But when we allow ourselves to get so upset about something that we cannot control, it's going to cause different types of thoughts of anxiety, of resentment and everything inside of our brains. And what really is that? That's us choosing to live in our own personal hell. Because is it really the referee's fault that you're that upset? Is it really the player's fault? Is it really, the TV's fault? Is it, is it the news's fault? I mean, my grandfather, like he would be watching the news and he would just, all upset. And, and I mean, like his feelings were valid, but at the same time, it's like, sir, calm down. They can't hear you. You're not changing anything by yelling at your TV, but this is something that we do because when we get fired up about something, we want to let this out, but really what we're doing, we're just sticking ourselves into like our own personal hell. So when you can manage to just be aware and observe, you're getting yourself to be more present in this present moment. And that's what we hear all the time. Like, oh, I wish I was more present with my kids. I wish I was more present with my spouse. I wish I was just enjoying what was around me more instead of always wondering how long I have to go into the next thing, waiting for this next thing to do. And, that can be very grounding, to remain present. It keeps you at a level of neutrality so that you don't feel the need to go to one side or the other. It's like we're constantly being pulled between opinion sides and everything. It's like, well, I can see what you're saying. Then I see what you're saying. And both sides are like, well, come over here. And we'll come over here. But really, there's nothing wrong with staying in the middle. We are surrounded by this whole idea of duality in this world, but there isn't a law of two. We're under the law of three. So you're allowed to hang out in the neutral spot. It doesn't have to be left, right, wrong, right, black, white. There are gray areas. And you're allowed to hang out there. And you're allowed to be like, that's great. I can see what you're saying, but I'm going to hang out here. I can see what you're saying too. I'm going to hang out here. It doesn't always work. We slip up. And that's okay. So, think about what it is that you can control and focus your energy there. Make sure that you're getting yourself grounded. I know that most of the country is like freezing right now. I saw someone post on Facebook earlier. She lives in Florida, and there's a dusting of snow on her palm trees. Another friend of mine lives in Texas, and her son is building like a little mini snowman. That's a great thing. Okay. Go outside, build a snowman, and then please send me a picture. I want to see your snowman. Show me the snowman that you built. Be creative with it. If you go out and you build any kind of snowman, I want to see it. So please share. But getting out into nature, breathing in the cool air. I know, especially if you were getting over a respiratory thing, that might make you cough a little bit more. I understand if you don't want to do that, but sitting next to a fire, that light from the fire is very good for your mitochondria. It allows your cells to produce energy. It is more akin to, the sunlight that we get in the summertime. And, they talk about like LED lights are like will remove your body's ability to produce mitochondria in your cells. Whereas incandescent lights were their temperature was more comparable to that of the sun, and it was good for those things. Not as good with energy saving, of course, so if there's positive and negative to everything. But nevertheless, when you are sitting in front of a fire, that is grounding. When you are, get next to the window. If you're out driving around, just like pay attention to some of the things in nature. Spend time with your animals. Snuggling your dog or cat is absolutely grounding for you. Soak in some of their consciousness. They don't give a shit what's going on the news. They're not allowing that to bother their nervous system. Now, if a car drives by, they might freak out and bark and, for what seems like no reason. But all of these things can really help with your personal growth and help you with your emotional maturity. And, none of us are going to be perfect with it, but to really just be able to sit back and remember we're all humans and we all have this desire for peace and understanding. So, there's going to be stormy times, in this human experience, like there's going to be sad things. I've said it before. There's happy things and there's sad things that happen on this planet. And we're going to be subjected to all of them, but we can control how we allow things to really get inside of us, especially the things that we can't control. There are things that are going on in your life that need to be handled and you can control them. And if those things are upsetting you, you're allowed to have those feelings and be upset about those things. I would hope that they're not going to completely consume you and turn into, endless anxiety and intrusive thoughts and leading into depression and things like that. Because that's what happens when we start by living our life in fear. And most of the time, it's because somebody else is telling us something so that we will agree with them in one way or another, and it keeps us in a state of fear. And most of the time, the things that we are fearing have never happened or are not ever going to even. And, so to sit there and just live your life and make all of your decisions and all of your emotions be focused on this fear, fear and really, like a lot of guilt and things like that. And then it moves up. It moves up more into feeling, like shame and grief and then, and just like, I'm not supposed to be happy. And then everybody hates me. And, it goes along and it turns into, it like cascades into this. So I would really hope that you're not allowing things to get taken too far. So just take a moment, get yourself grounded, take a social media break. Okay. Go build a snowman. Just do something to bring you back to this present moment and remind you of what is actually important. Okay. You are existing. You are inside of your body. You have all of these cells in your body. You can thank your cells for doing all the things that they're doing. If you had a good night's sleep, you can be thankful for that. You can just sit and observe your children, your pets. Just give yourself a break and try and be present and only worry yourself with the things that you can absolutely control so that you can protect your energy through any kind of storm that normal life is going to throw at you, because that's where we live. It's stormy here. So I sure hope that this was helpful for you. You can join my next Radiant Reset if you want to learn a little bit more about how this really, because all of these things do absolutely tie into any other, physical program and everything like that. So you can check out when the next one's going to be. Go to go.deeprootedwellnessid.com/radiant-reset, and you'll see where my next one is going to be. And I can't wait to see you there. And seriously though, show me pictures of snowmen. I really, really hope somebody sends me a picture of a snowman. That'll be just fantastic. All right. All right. Love you guys. Bye for now.